here's my 1958 Mamiya C2 medium format twin lens reflex camera. This was the second in a long line of Mamiya C cameras, which were interchangeable lens twin lens reflex cameras. Now the C2 being the second model, it only differed from the first model by having two focus knobs versus just one, and they redesigned the base to make it flat instead of having little feet that stuck out. But anyway, I bought this camera for 30 bucks, and the main reason why I bought it was to have a winter camera that I could take out in the winter and not really worry about it. So I'll give you a quick overview of this camera. So it's an interchangeable lens, medium format, twin lens reflex camera. On the front, you would set all of your shutter speeds and apertures by rotating the rings on the lens. The shutter is cocked manually. So later Mamiya would release a version of this camera with a crank, which would automatically cock the shutter, and that was the C3, which came after the C2. Now I have a C33, which came after the C3, and I can show you the crank right there. And you'll notice that because they added the crank and the internal mechanisms to wind the film, the camera got a lot bigger. So the C2 is actually the smallest, sorry, the C and the C2 were the smallest interchangeable lens TLRs from Mamiya. So to cock the shutter, I showed you to remove the lens, you would pull down, you'd first have to unlock. And this basically unlocked this bar, which holds the lens in place. This one's missing the little knob there, so it's kind of hard. And then your lens would just pop out like this, and you could throw in any other lens you'd like. They had 55 millimeters, 135s, 180s. I think went all the way up to 200 plus millimeters. So lock the lens back in place. So this camera, when it came out, it had three notable features. The first being obviously that the lenses could be interchanged. Two, it had a bellows focusing mechanism, which allowed it to focus a lot closer than a traditional camera, and especially a traditional twin lens reflex camera. And third, the film path was completely straight. So on a Rolleiflex, what you'd have is the film would travel in an L shape with your film being here, your take-up spool being here. And what happens sometimes is if you left your film in too long, that L shape would sometimes cause a crease in your film. So when you wound your film wouldn't be completely flat against the film plane. So what Mamiya did was they created a perfectly straight film path. However, what that did is it made a camera that was slightly taller than a Rolleiflex, because you'd have the height added was basically the width of the roll. Because remember, on a Rolleiflex you'd have the film around here. So actually I can show you real quick. So here's a Rolleie cord. You can see how much smaller it is height wise. However, width wise they are fairly similar. Alright, so to advance the film, you would pull back on this lever, turn, and it automatically lock on each frame. That's pretty much it. There wasn't too much to this camera. Here's your red window, because you'd first have to align the start mark. Your magnifier. This camera's in a bit of a rough condition, but like I said, I only paid $30 for it, so I can't really complain. And that's your magnifier. Alright, so that concludes my quick little overview of the Mamiyaflex C2. If you have any questions, just ask in the comments. If you want to see more videos of cool vintage cameras, please subscribe and check out my Etsy store if you want to see some camera prints and other camera related art. The link is in the description. Thanks.